Episode 5 of Behind the Line. I am your host, KC. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Whichever platform you're listening on, please make sure to hit the like or subscribe button and leave a comment in the section below. We got several things to go over today, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I normally put my college football picks at the end of the show, but for this weekend, I'm going to go ahead and lead with my college football bets. I'll be honest, I'm really fucking aggravated with college football right now. I know I've been bitching about it since the season began, which was only about 2 weeks ago. But at this point of the season, we're entering week 3 on Saturday for college football. I'm expecting to see some big-time matchups. I mean, we're in the middle of September. We're starting to get into the heart of the college football season. Teams are starting conference play. I know some teams started at week 1, some teams started last week. But the bulk of your conference schedule normally starts around this time, mid-September, mid to late September. Now, we've had 2 weeks of pretty much nothing but blowouts. Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 close games here and there, but the majority of the weekend for college football has been dreadful. Teams like Alabama and Ohio State, other programs that are of their caliber, they're playing teams that really don't belong on the same field as them. But you figured by the 3rd week of the college football season, they would give us something to get excited about. But once again, that's not the case. Week 1, we had 1 game between top 25 teams. Last weekend, we were graced with 2 games. We were fucking lucky. We ought to be happy. 2 games between top 25 teams last weekend. Now, this weekend, we've got 0 fucking games between top 25 football teams. Not 1 goddamn game. I feel like a broken record complaining about this every week. But is it not time to change the college football system? I mean, it's getting to the point where the regular season is becoming completely useless. We've already seen it this year. When these top schools play each other, the games are phenomenal. Oregon and Auburn in week 1. That was a great game. LSU, Texas last weekend. I thought that was exciting. I thought it was a great game. I know Clemson A&M, number 1 versus number 12, a bit of a blowout, but that's going to happen. That happens at the NFL level. Yet week after week after week, I'm getting games like Georgia versus Arkansas State, Oregon versus Montana. Montana? I didn't even think Montana had a college. Thought they were just farmers and moose that lived in Montana. Didn't think you needed an education to milk cows. This is fucking boring. I'm tired of complaining about it. All I want is exciting games on Saturday. I don't think that's too much to ask. I get excited about every NFL Sunday. Why can't it be the same for college football? I feel like it used to be the same for college football. I really don't feel like it's asking too much. I mean, is it really too much to ask the NCAA to give us competitive games every week? I mean, to me, in my opinion, this is beyond the point of ridiculous, and it seems to be getting worse. I don't look ahead to schedules, but I hope it gets better next weekend. At this point, I really have no faith that it will. Sorry to rant to open the show. Let's go ahead and get to the college picks for the week. Start off, USC traveling to Provo, playing BYU. Current line is USC minus 4.5. Now, call me crazy, but I really like this BYU team. They look good opening weekend against a stout Utah defense. Didn't cover the game. They had a couple of pick sixes in the second half. Before then, I believe they were only down like 3 points at halftime. Utah's a really fucking good football team. Now, I know that Tennessee sucks. We all know that. Tennessee's 0-2. Got embarrassed in week 1. But I was impressed with BYU's comeback last week. Neyland Stadium is a tough place to play. I don't care how bad Tennessee is. BYU was down 30 seconds to go last week. Their quarterback, Zach Wilson, led them back late in the fourth quarter. They tied the game, eventually went up to win it in overtime. Neyland Stadium, like I said, that's a tough place to win. I thought that was impressive. BYU is tough in the trenches. Now, I realize their defense could use a little bit of improvement, especially the run defense, but I really trust the offense led by Wilson. But the big thing to me here in this game is USC is coming in led by backup quarterback Kadon Slovis. Now, I admit, he looked great last week against Stanford. USC easily rolled over Stanford last week. They won by like 25 points. They were at home. USC coaching staff actually believes that Slovis is better than their opening week starter, JT Daniels. However, this is going to be the first true road test for him. Never played a road game at the NCAA level. For me, trusting a young 18-year-old kid to head into a tough road environment in Provo, Utah, and cover more than a field goal, that's just a tough ask. Add to that, USC's 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 non-conference games, 2-4 against the spread, last 6 road games. BYU has actually covered 6 of their last 7 games. So I really like the Cougars here at home, taking BYU plus the 4.5. Next up, got Iowa at Iowa State. Current line's Iowa minus 2.5. You know the college football schedule is really fucking weak when ESPN's College Game Day is in Ames, Iowa for this game. I realize this is a big rivalry game, but college football is always at the biggest game of the weekend. The biggest fucking game we got this weekend is Iowa State. Now, Iowa enters 2-0, really yet to be tested this season. Defenses look dominant, giving up only 14 points through 2 games. Kind of tough to gauge that, though. They played Miami of Ohio and Rutgers. Not exactly 2 college football powerhouses by any stretch. So it's going to be the first true test of the season for the 18th ranked Hawkeyes. Iowa State actually enters Saturday. They had a bye week last week. Second week of the year, already got a bye week. Opened the year in week 1 against an FCS program in Northern Iowa. How appropriate with what we've been talking about with college football scheduling all year. Barely came out with a 3-point win that took 3 fucking overtimes. 3 overtimes at home against an FCS program. Now, I know Northern Iowa's got a decent basketball program. They've made the NCAA tournament a couple of times in the past several years, but I can't imagine their football program is that fucking good. 3 overtimes to beat the equivalent of a high school level squad. Come on. Now, this line seems deceptively low to me. I'll be honest with you. I'm real hesitant about this pick. It almost seems like the Vegas bookmakers are begging you to take Iowa here. But I'm going to lean that way, and I'm going to take the bait. Iowa's handled Iowa State the past several years. 5-1 straight up, 4-1-1 against the spread the last 6 games. Iowa's also shown that they can face the hostile Ames crowd, going 4-1 straight up the last 5 games played on the road in Iowa State. This line actually opened Iowa minus 1. It's been bet up to Iowa minus 2.5. I'm going to take this early. This thing could get up to 3 before kickoff. I'm going to take Iowa minus 2.5. Last game of the weekend and my favorite play of the college weekend. We got Florida at Kentucky. Florida, current line is minus 8. Now, Florida's got one of the best pass rushes in the SEC. And they're going up against the backup quarterback in Kentucky. Now, as I say all the time on this program, recipe for disaster. Florida also comes in with an experienced quarterback with Felipe Franks. Struggled at times last season. Hell, he struggled against this same Kentucky squad last season at home in Gainesville. But the Gators and Franks come into this battle tested. They've already got an impressive win this season against Miami. I realize this is an SEC road game. I think Florida will struggle early. But the pass rush will prove to be too much for Kentucky to handle. I think Florida will pull away in the second half. The Gators have performed well in Kentucky the last few years, going 5-1 against the spread. I'm going to swallow the points here, go with Florida, taking Florida minus 8. So to give a little quick recap on our college football bets of the weekend, got BYU at home, plus 4.5. Iowa on the road, minus 2.5. Florida on the road, minus 8. I want to get into a little bit of NFL news here. Can we go one fucking day without hearing another news story about Antonio Brown? I'm 5 episodes in on this podcast. Been doing this show 2 to 3 weeks now. Seems like every time I do research for this show, there's something new about AB in the media. I'm tired of fucking talking about it. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. All these off the field issues. This time he's being accused of rape. I want to preface this by saying that I'm always skeptical when I hear a rape accusation against a professional athlete. As bad as that is to say, it's the truth. I'm just being honest with you. Now, I'm not saying pro athletes or rich or famous men don't rape women. It happens. It happens. I mean, just look at the R. Kelly situation. Dude's got more money than he knows what to deal with, and he likes to pee on little girls and film it. I also realize how difficult it is for women to come forward after they've been sexually assaulted. So I actually feel a little bad that I'm skeptical, but that's just the way I feel, just the way it is. I'm sure a lot of other people out there feel the same way I do. Men in courtrooms in America are at an extreme disadvantage when accused of anything by a woman. Doesn't fucking matter. Especially black men. Women who are opportunists know this and will shake down a dude with money in a fucking second if they think that they can get a quick payday out of it. Now, there's really not enough information about this situation to judge one way or another what really happened right now anyway. Initial investigations were going on. I mean, this just came out Wednesday. So, I do, however, find it highly suspicious that this accuser of Antonio Brown, a former personal trainer of his named Brittany Taylor, has filed a civil suit against him. So, on the surface, this appears to be a shakedown to me. Now, just to give you a little bit of a backstory in case you haven't heard, Taylor met AB back in 2010 at a Bible study when he was at Central Michigan. They were quote-unquote Bible study partners. Whether or not they had a physical relationship, I don't know. You can draw your own conclusions. But anyway, they reconnected in June 2017 when the supposed allegations that she's making now actually went down. Now, she claims about a month into their reunion, AB busted in on her in her bedroom while she was changing clothes, forcefully kissed her against her will. Now, a month after this happened, she claims they were watching a Christian video together and AB was beating off and spooged all over her back. So they were watching a movie. He gets up and goes behind her, beats his dick, and then blows his load on her back. All right. Then the next day she claims to have received some text from AB. Quote, "Fuck your knowledge, bitch. I bell all pro before I even knew you." Think he meant I've been all pro before I even knew you, but whatever. Quote, "You would disgrace to little girls. You a failed gymnast living in the past." Unquote. Okay. Now, after all this shit happened, aggressive kiss, the spooging on her back, the rude text messages, she fucking hangs out with him again a year later. May 2018, she claims they were hanging out and he pinned her down and raped her. So it took him 8 years to build up the courage to rape her. Now, I'm no SVU detective, but are you fucking kidding me? I find all this really hard to believe. Police were never notified about any of these incidents. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of people don't come forward, so take that for what it's worth. But the woman is filing a civil suit against him. But don't worry. Her fucking lawyers say she passed a lie detector test. So we should believe her, because lie detector tests are so hard to pass. Now, do you think if this wasn't Antonio Brown and this was just your everyday dude off the street, do you think that she would be filing a civil suit against him? No. But this poses a huge problem for AB. New England has a clause in his contract that basically says if Antonio Brown embarrasses the franchise, they can void his deal, take back the nearly $10 million in guaranteed money. Now, whether or not any of this is true remains to be seen. But this is not fucking good for Antonio Brown. After all the bullshit he caused in Oakland, gets a fresh start at the best franchise in the NFL with the best head coach, the best quarterback. Hasn't even touched the field yet, and he's already a distraction in an organization that despises and eliminates distractions with a quickness. No doubt AB makes the Patriots arguably the best team in the NFL, but I don't think they really need him to contend for another Super Bowl. Now, we'll see what happens with this situation, but hopefully it gets resolved quickly because I'm fucking tired of hearing about AB, and it's only week 2 of the NFL season. Not to mention the fact that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady will not put up with this type of shit for long. Roger Goodell's looking into it, so take that for what it's worth, but I'm just tired of hearing about AB. I'm ready for him to be out of the fucking news for a little while. I want to see what he does on the field instead of hearing about what he is supposedly doing off the field. All right, let's move on. Growing up a Saints fan, for years, I believed that the New Orleans Saints were cursed. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. The voodoo in New Orleans, it just never seemed to work out in our favor. Never had a playoff win until the late 90s. I believe it was the 99 season going into the 2000 playoffs when we had Aaron Brooks, Joe Horn, all those guys, Deuce McAllister. Jim Haslett was the head coach. Beat the Rams in Week 17 in the Dome to make the playoffs that year. And then actually the following week beat the Rams on the wild card game. First playoff win, Saints franchise history. They've been around since the 60s. I can remember wearing bags over my head when I was a kid going to Saints games in the mid-90s. You'd be at the Superdome and it'd be a stadium full of people with bags over their heads because the team was so fucking embarrassing. So, I can actually sympathize, and I know exactly how fans of the New York Jets are feeling today. The Jets season is officially over. We haven't even reached week 2 yet. News was released Thursday morning that starting quarterback Sam Darnold's got mono. Out for at least the next several weeks. He's definitely out until the Jets bye week, which is week 4. So he's definitely out the next 2 games. Now you might say, well, New York still's got a great defense, have a great running back in Le'Veon Bell. They'll be okay. And you would be fucking wrong. Bell had an MRI today. He's got shoulder soreness. Probably not anything too serious, but, not good. And yes, the Jets' defense is very good. We saw that last week against the Bills. Though, kind of hard to measure because the Bills' offense is the drizzling shits, but the Jets' defense was pretty good last year. The Jets are known for their defense, really. But here's the problem right now in New York. Your backup quarterback is Trevor Siemian. And as far as NFL standards, it's hard to get much worse than Trevor Siemian. Jets head coach Adam Gase trying to be positive about it, obviously. He's got to be. He's touting Siemian's experience and winning record. He's actually 13-11 as a starter in the NFL. But what he's not saying, and really can't say, is that Trevor Siemian is the worst fucking quarterback in the NFL. Dude was disastrous in Denver. Since 2016, he is dead last in the NFL in QBR, 42.1. Just to put that into a little bit of perspective, the next 3 guys ahead of him are Brock Osweiler, Eli Manning, and Blake Bortles. Now, Osweiler is watching football from his couch on Sunday. Eli Manning should be watching football from his couch on Sunday. And Blake Bortles, well, we all know how bad he sucks. He's backing up Jared Goff in Los Angeles. So do you get the picture of how bad fucking Trevor Siemian is? The Jets weren't making the playoffs with Darnold under center. Okay? We all know that. They were not making the playoffs this year. But at least as a Jets fan, you had hope this season that you could build something towards the future, towards next year. We all see in the NFL how quickly a losing franchise can turn around. We've talked about it on here before. The example I used then was the Rams. A couple of years ago, Jared Goff's rookie season, they were fucking terrible. Jeff Fisher got fired. Bring in Sean McVay. Jared Goff matures in the offseason, develops. Next thing you know, a year or 2 later, they're playing in the fucking Super Bowl. All of that hope is gone for this season in New York. I want you to look at New York's next 5 games. Browns this week, Monday Night Football, loss. Patriots the week after, loss. Eagles, loss. Cowboys, loss. Patriots again, loss. This team will be sitting at 0-6 by mid-October. 0-6. No hope for even contending for a wild card. I feel your pain, Jets fans. I really do. This is a franchise that hasn't had a great offense since the days of Joe Namath. That was back in the fucking 70s. Wasn't even alive yet. The Jets' offense is more famous for Mark Sanchez and his butt fumble than anything else in the past decade. I mean, I'm trying to sit here just off the cuff and think about how many quarterbacks the Jets have had in the past 10 years. A lot of them. They're like the Cleveland Browns. They go through a fucking quarterback every year, every other year. You finally get a glimmer of hope with Sam Darnold. He's got promise. He's got, the potential to be a good quarterback in this league. Still unproven, but it's hope. And it's vanished. They really don't know when Sam Darnold's going to come back. The problem with Mono is he can't be around the team. He can't be at the team facilities. He can't be at practice. So when he does come back, he's going to be way behind in terms of what the offense is doing. Which is why I say this season is a waste for the Jets. It really is. All right, guys, I'm out of here. If you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button, give a good rating on iTunes, leave your comments in the section below. I will be back on Saturday morning. I know I got it up a little late last Saturday morning. I got it up about 1 o'clock. I will try to get it up this Saturday morning by about 10, so you got plenty of time to put your NFL bets in. Get your college football picks in early. As we saw last weekend, the LSU line, I had it at 6.5. By the time Saturday came around, it was 7. LSU won by 7. Real important to get the bets in early. Have a good Friday. I will see you on Saturday.